what's going on out there. So today, this video, I had to make it because I'm upset, and I'm going to tell you why I'm upset. Joe Biden made some pretty idiotic comments yesterday on a radio show, and for those of you who have not heard, if you're living under a rock, he was on an African American or minority-based radio show, and the host asked, I guess for information, and said we have to decide whether we vote for you or Trump. And he says, if you have to decide between myself and Trump, you ain't black. And he continues to use the word man, man, man. So very unintelligent assessment by Joe Biden. And for those of you who have not seen the backlash, I've seen a lot of African Americans come out of the woodworks, and now they're pulling up Joe's racist past in terms of jail reform, blaming the black mother for the lack of black children's education because they don't have as large of a vocabulary as their counterparts. All of these things are starting to come to the surface. And my thing is this: if Joe was getting momentum in the African American community, for it to stop because he says that is pretty asinine. Those policies that he's had in the past, they've been there, they've been on record, so you should have known about that if you're researching them. If you're just blindly voting for a person, then shame on you. But that's not what really has me upset today. Those comments really solidified my original thought. Nobody cares about the black person, and nobody respects the black person. And what I mean by that is Joe felt it necessary to come on a show and say you're not black if it's me or Trump, to attack Trump for being racist, and to pander to the black community as if we're just one thing. These politicians come on and pander to the black community as if we all live in the same neighborhood and we have some type of local block club that we get together and we decide who to vote for. Here's the reality. African Americans experience a wide range of things when it comes to this world. There are certain African Americans who are in different positions than others. So when you're looking for the right candidate, you need to base it on what best benefits you. There are certain African Americans who are in certain income tax brackets. They may want tax breaks. There's some who want jail reform. There's some who are pro-life. There's some who are pro-choice. There's some who wants a cleaner or easier path to entrepreneurship. There's some who wants pay to increase. There's some who want better health care. So for one politician to feel like they can just blanket cover the entire African American community is a sign of disrespect in itself. Now that's about Joe. If any African American person is out there thinking that somehow because Joe said what he said, now Trump is the front runner, you're sorely mistaken. Because we can look back at Trump and say, well, with the federal stimulus checks that a lot of minority and underserved communities are receiving, they were delayed because our president had to add his signature to the check to advertise. That is a form of campaigning. Again, when I talk about disrespect, it's saying we're going to give you this little money so you can remember who looked out for you, little guy, but yet we're going to give billions to bail out corporations who are not extremely diverse corporations. So you have to really think about things before you just react. And going back to Joe Biden saying, man, there's nothing new. Joe Biden flying off the handle was nothing new. If you go research it, Joe Biden got into a shouting match with a protester at one of his rallies. Joe Biden got into a shouting match with a factory worker. So this is nothing new. I think Joe got caught up really thinking that he's earned his black card because he served under President Obama for 8 years, and he says, oh, the black community loved him, so they'll love me by default. It doesn't work that way, Joe. It does not work that way. Stop trying so hard to get the black vote because it's offensive. Donald Trump, stop pretending that you care about the black vote because it is offensive. For you to sign a check to give underserved black and brown people pennies compared to these corporations, and you can research it, the rich have gotten immensely richer since the economy has been shut down. This was a president who ran on economy. And now you have some people out there, African American people also, who will say, well, you know, the economy is better because Trump's a businessman. He takes care of business. Wrong. Okay, President Obama signed a bill into act. I forget, it was like 2012 or so. I'm sorry, I don't have the research. If I get the link, I'll definitely put it below. And it was passed, I believe, in 2016, and it allowed the small guy, the average investor, the non-accredited investor, and please look that up, accredited versus non-accredited, to invest in crowdfunding, to invest their money, whether it's $10, $50, or whatever it have, into companies looking to raise money. It ended up generating a lot more flow of cash into the economy. Also, it came with Donald Trump, and he came with the rise of a lot of employment companies like Uber and Lyft. So yes, the economy is going to do better. But when that economy was handed off to President Obama, it was on the brink of collapse. And he had to do a lot of things that were not popular to get it back running. The one thing that always bothers me is when people say, when we talk about President Obama, it seems like African Americans, they have to qualify their statement with saying, well, President Obama wasn't perfect, but I'm like, what does that mean? President Reagan wasn't perfect. President Bush wasn't perfect. President Clinton wasn't perfect. President Bush Sr. wasn't perfect. And we can go on and on and on. There was not one president who was perfect. So why do we have to qualify our assessment of President Obama saying he wasn't perfect? Did he create policies that maybe some people didn't agree with? Yes. But for everyone who disagrees with the policy, there are other people who agree with the policy. It's never 100%. So to qualify that man and say he wasn't perfect, or to think that somehow with him in office, every African-American community is going to be on equal ground with other communities is absolutely asinine. So the point I'm making is this. I know tempers are high, but you have to look and vote based on the policies that help you move forward in your life. If you're a person about finances, then vote on the economy. If you're a person about social programs, then vote on who's more committed to funding social programs. We've seen right now that a focus strictly on the economy is probably going to kill a lot more people, and it's going to continue to divide our nation. So, but with that being said, you vote how you feel is right. Don't qualify your vote because of your color, and always take offense when politicians feel the need to pander to you because of your color. Because guess what? For the other days of the year, when it's not election season, nobody gives a damn about you. Your opportunities are still going to be limited, whether it's Trump or Biden in office. So you just have to vote on what's going to advance where you're going. And that's all you can do. And I'll tell you this. I think we spent 4 years with the president who has shown that he doesn't have the ability to listen to the experts. And he's shown that. Joe Biden, he has not shown that yet. And I know he has a lot of things wrong, but he still hasn't shown that put in that position, he won't have the ability to at least take a step back and listen to cooler heads. So again, you make the choice, you decide on what you want to do. But I know as for me, I'm voting based on policy, and that's all I can do. I do feel this way though, regardless if it's Joe or Trump, feel like we're just signing our death certificate as a nation. We have to do better as a nation. The president spot needs to be presidential again, and I feel like it really harms our brand when you have presidential candidates, current and then the Democratic nominee, having a social media war and name calling. That's the highest office in the land, and it's resorted to name calling over social media. At some point, we have to become presidential again. We have to show the other countries and the rest of the world that we have our house in order over here, and it just doesn't look good right now as a nation. So hopefully at some point we get someone in who can rise above the pettiness, who can bring bipartisanship back to Capitol Hill. The disrespect on both sides is it's unbelievable, and it's a real turnoff, and it's a real concern that we have people in the House and Senate, and obviously the highest office in the land, that just can't respectfully disagree. And you see it in society. It's like it's all or none. I see people who defend Trump tooth and nail, and Trump said it best: I can shoot someone in the middle of Times Square and people will still vote for me. And he's right. They're going to justify it. They're going to justify their vote for Donald Trump, just like people are going to justify their vote for Joe Biden. And it's sad that people can't say, well, you know what? I voted for Trump because I agreed on this, and that, but I didn't agree on this, and that, but that wasn't as important. It's like these people are just it doesn't matter. I'm 100% for this candidate or that candidate. And I just don't believe that is, I don't believe that is honest. I don't think there's many people out there who are 100% for any candidate. But nonetheless, bipartisanship is just a thing of the past. I'm just waiting for the day that the presidential spot becomes presidential again and focuses on uniting this country the right way. And who knows when it'll happen. But nonetheless, again, if this sparked any thought in you, if you want to continue this debate, please just submit your comments in the comment section and make sure you subscribe. I always end with this. There's something I believe in, or something I've heard, that the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. So if you're watching this video and you just click off of it without giving me a like or dislike or commenting, that's probably the worst thing you can do. So make sure you take some type of action. Let's keep this conversation going, but make sure you subscribe, hit the bell so you can see when I bring out more content, and I'll see you on the next video.